Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. I'm Haanahgrace. Today I want to talk about when planning a spike baby goes terribly wrong. And let's continue looking at this court case, Martel Holt defrauding this couple out of thousands of dollars. Let's talk about it.
Black Spider-Man. No.
Please like, share, and subscribe. All information is alleged and intended for entertainment purposes only. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Enjoy my commentary.
You obviously came here to waste my time.
That's what I thought. Clown. That's what I thought. Clown.
Black Spider-Man. No.
You obviously came here to waste my time.
I ain't checking for your ass. The joke is really on you.
And so this is what I think Miss Karma told Coleslaw, Ariane Curry that is, after she decided to have a baby by a married man.
Right, so that was cute, but don't be cute with me and then think that you're not going to get an answer.
Okay, now just in case you haven't heard, Ariane Curry did explain the reason she had her son. The reason when she got pregnant, she decided to go ahead on and have her son. And she also said that Martel wanted her to have an A, B, but she decided not to. Now, in my opinion, she's really not telling the whole truth, because she basically said that if Melody and Martel were still married, if it was not for the show, that she think that Martel and Melody would still be married and that she would not have her son, because the blogger asked her, do you think you would have your baby? She said no. She said no about 3 times. So she really was thinking about, she really in her mind think that if it was not for that show, that she wouldn't have her son. So that got me to think, well, why would the show propel you to have a child? And then the only clear conclusion that I could come up with is that she want to get on the show. She focused on getting on the show so bad that she would have a baby, thinking that that would seal the deal for her to get on the show. Now that was a mistake. Now the other reason I think that she went ahead on and had a baby by Martel is that she thought Martel had some money. She thought that she was getting ready to have a child by a man who was financially sound, but little did she know that not only was Martel a fake and a fraud, he's dumb as well. And like she said in that video with the original straight note, the audio with original straight note chaser, it's like the blind leading the blind. Now she realized the man is blind. The man didn't even have a builder's license. He was using his wife's builder's license now, and he still to this day, in most people's opinion, don't have a builder's license. So he was back in 2020, as I discussed on my last video, where Martel contracted with a couple to do an addition to their home, and shout out to Pinky the housewife. All of the documents are on her page, so go check her out. He lied to these people. They thought he had a builder's license. They gave him over $60,000 to complete the addition to their home. After he filed bankruptcy, Martel said, okay, I need y'all to, he did about 15 or 20% of the work. Then he said, listen, I need y'all to wait until after my bankruptcy is complete. Then I'm going to resume, I'm going to resume the work on the house. But the man never did come back and finish their house. And see, Martel thought he was slick. He thought that, okay, I'm just going to let them know that I filed for bankruptcy. I'm going to come back after I finish the bankruptcy case, and then I'm going to come back. But what he really wanted to do was try to get the debt, the over $62,000. He tried to get that wiped out in the bankruptcy case. He almost got away with it because the courts made a mistake. So I'm going to call the couple Mr. and Mrs. Texas Hold'em. Because Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em found out Martel lied to the court, and they said, hold up, wait a minute. You gonna pay me my money, because you're not gonna get away with this, Martel Holt. And so let's just get into what the couple told the court.
So in essence, what Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em
came to the court and said is, listen, you all made a mistake. The court has made a mistake. So we're coming to you to seek relief from this court's order of discharge so that a lawsuit can be pursued against Martel Holt in state court. They also said that we have suffered as a result of Martel Holt's illegal, incomplete, and defective remodel and construction of the addition to our home. And so what Martel did, his attorney listed his scheduled secured debt as $1,431,834.39. And they also listed unsecured debts as totaling $985,258.74, despite taking $62,532 from them under fraudulent representation that debtor Martel Holt was licensed to perform residential construction for profit for materials and construction services never performed. The debtors, which is Martel Holt, schedules in this case inaccurately list Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em as unsecured creditors with a $100 warranty claim. He inaccurately listed Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em under secured creditors. That is how they went back to court and was able to have the bankruptcy court reverse their decision of having their $62,000 that Martel Holt owed them discharged from his bankruptcy. So now they can move forward and sue him in court. So the court goes on to say, in the case before us, the bankruptcy court noted that it was only at the adversary hearing that it became aware of the inappropriateness of Martel Holt's order of discharge, which had been granted more or less automatically. Had the court known of the facts concerning Mr. Martel Holt's conduct, it would never have issued the order. So the court finds that the initial grant of a discharge for Martel Holt, a mistake that the court was empowered to reach under Bankruptcy Rule 9024. And the court did not abuse its discretion by taking corrective action under the circumstances presented here. The court also concluded that Mr. Martel Holt signed his bankruptcy schedule under penalty of perjury and tactically mischaracterized the amount and type of debt to which he owed Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em. This is conduct supporting denial of a discharge pursuant to 11 U.S.C. 727A4. Had this court known of the debtor's conduct, it is reasonable to expect that this court would not have granted Mr. Holt his Chapter 7 discharge. Accordingly, the court may vacate its order granting Mr. Martel Holt a discharge under Rule 9024.
And so, in conclusion, the judge seemed to be very, very upset with what Martel did to these people's home. And this is how the judge went on to say.
If there is any circumstance that justifies extraordinary relief, it is this one. The debtor illegally held himself out as a licensed home builder, and after being paid $62,530 from the Mr. Hold'em, Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em, for the construction of an addition to their home, walked off the job without completing more than a fraction of the work. It is possible the debtor faces charges under more than criminal statutes of the state of Alabama. In addition, any civil judgment based upon fraud arising from illegal and defective construction of Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em's home is certainly non-dischargeable pursuant to 11 U.S.C. 523. Under the bankruptcy timelines, Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em have not had time to obtain inspections of their home or hire counsel to evaluate the success of a lawsuit against Mr. Martel Holt. At this time, Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em simply seek permission to proceed in state court against Martel Holt up to the limits of available insurance coverage and funds from the Homeowners Recovery Fund without suing the debtor, which is Martel Holt. Neither of these avenues of recovery are available to Mr. and Mrs. Hold'em. And you can also see that the judge said it is possible that Martel Holt faces charges under more than one criminal statute of the state of Alabama for what he did illegally to these people. He knew that he didn't have a license. He knew that he was about to file bankruptcy. He knew that he inaccurately listed Mrs. Hold'em as unsecured creditor.
And so with Karma knocking on Ariane Curry's door every day, all day, every day, I want to know, was it worth it? Did you actually plan your son as a spite baby? Did you do that? Did you think Martel Holt had money? Why did you actually do this? You knew that man was married. I know it's all in the past, but we're just talking about this because we just heard the audio, which confirmed that you did this for some kind of selfish reason. So Karma is knocking on your door. Now, I wonder also, with Martel going around scamming people out of money, I want to know, what has he put on your credit report? You better believe you better go check it out, because his credit seemed to be jacked up. And I don't think he's going to have a problem jacking yours up if he ain't already done it. So that's all I have for this video. Please drop down in the comments and let me know, what do you think about Martel Holt scamming these people out of their money? And what do you think about the judge saying that it is possible that Martel Holt faces charges under more than one criminal statute of the state of Alabama? And what do you think about Ariane Curry having her child out of spite? Please drop down in the comments and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Haanahgrace, and remember, I am Haanahgrace. And have a beautiful day. Please support the channel, like, share, and subscribe.
Hear you quiet, let me hear you say it again, and you at home say it, y'all. And I love you, and you, and you, and you, and you. I say I love you. Oh, I love you. I love you, I love you. Come and get it. I can't hide my feelings, get it. I won't stop until we start over and finish. Tonight is all about love.
Please support the channel, like, share, and subscribe.